Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. World leaders are being hosted by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz for a two-day G20 Compact with Africa summit in Berlin. Leaders of 13 Compact with Africa countries gathered in the German capital to discuss ways to help bolster private investment on the continent. Well, just before the start of the second working session at Berlin's Chancellery, the leaders can be seen posing for a family photo. The Compact with Africa was created in 2017 under the German G20 presidency, and it aims to bring together African countries, international organizations, and bilateral partners to coordinate development agendas and discuss business opportunities. Well, speaking of opportunities, Kenyan President William Ruto says he has a target to meet at the summit, aiming to secure jobs for Kenyans in Germany and to investigate potential employment chances for his citizens. He noted that the German Chancellor, who was in Kenya last week, had promised he would secure 200,000 jobs for Kenyans. Therefore, President Ruto said he had to follow up on the Chancellor's remarks. Mr. Ruto also mentioned existing agreements with the French president and leaders from around the world to facilitate employment for Kenyans abroad. Well, this move comes amid a worsening unemployment and cost of living crisis in the East African nation. Well, let's bring in VOA's Africa Bureau Chief, Mariama Diallo, for more discussions. Hello, Mariama. Thank you for speaking to us at this time. President William Ruto is in Germany, and he says he's following up on, the 200,000 job opportunities for Kenyans to work in Germany. What is the reaction we are getting from Kenyans on this?
Hello, Layo, and thank you for having me this evening. The reaction, as you can imagine, is very mixed. From his opponents, a lot of people are talking about, yet again, here is President Ruto taking another foreign trip when he had just come back from Saudi Arabia. A lot of people have been counting the number of trips. They are saying that he's had about 40 of them since he was inaugurated basically last September. So a lot of the reaction is about him taking a lot of trips. But on that, in particular, the 200,000 jobs, a few reactions, and I'm going to just read you a few of them here that I've gathered. One person here says maybe he should try fulfilling the earlier promises before giving new ones. Another one saying that wake me up when it happens, basically. But you also have some positive comments, people who are supportive, people who agree with what President Ruto is doing. And this one says, Lord, have your way in Kenya. Only you can do this. Obviously, President Ruto has talked about exporting also Kenyan labor into other countries. But a lot of people are saying that if you are exporting the Kenyan labor into other foreign countries, why are you doing that when Kenya actually needs that labor in order to work on its economy, to work on the country? There are a lot of things to do here.
Well, being that it's a two-day summit, one wonders, how does the president hope to achieve this, especially, the government's timeline for commencing the deployment of Kenyan workers abroad?
Well, 2 days seems like a short time, but 2 days could also be, a long time to make deals. I am not sure he was hoping to get those 200,000 Kenyans to go to Germany in that span of time. But what I'm thinking is that given that Chancellor Scholz was in Kenya not too long ago, they have talked about it. Maybe the process has already started started, and what's happening with President Ruto going to Germany is basically to follow up, to finalize. So I guess we will find out in the coming days, in the coming weeks, what does that mean? Because at this point, you've had the visits from both leaders. You've had both leaders talk about it, and I guess the next step to see is the results. When is it gonna actually take place? When is it gonna actually happen?
All right, Mariama, just before I let you go, aside employment opportunities, what other investments or economic deals do we know about that the president, has secured or will be securing at the summit?
Well, we know that this compact with Africa, you talked about it earlier, was created in 2017. It was created to basically put together some African countries, have some international organizations, and also have some other bilateral partners to try to work on development agendas, to try to work on investment opportunities. So we hope that basically this is what happened during the two-day summit. Obviously, now the leaders are going to be going back, and when they go back, I'm sure, their constituents, their countries are going to ask, what did you accomplish? What did you talk about? What deal was made? So they will have to make some kind of a compte rendu, like the French will say, some kind of assessment of what kinds of deals happen during those 2 days. And we'll get those to you as soon as they become available. We know, though, that Chancellor Scholz has talked about, at least on one sector when it comes to climate, he's talked about, an opportunity for importing green hydrogen, which is something that Germany and so many other countries will need, obviously, to achieve eventually in the next few years carbon neutrality. And he's basically extended a hand to the African countries, telling them that it's something, the production of that needs a lot of investment at first, but that Germany is ready to be a partner with them. That's at least one sector we've heard the Chancellor talk about, but I'm sure we'll hear much more in the coming days as to what other deals took place. And for the Kenyan president, we can't wait to hear about those deals, for sure.
All right then, Mariama Diallo, thank you, VOA's Africa Bureau Chief.
Thank you for having me.
The South African government is calling on the International Criminal Court, ICC, to issue an arrest warrant for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by mid-December. The minister in the presidency, Kumbunzo Nsheveni, says if the ICC does not do this, it would signal a total failure for global governance, as the world cannot simply stand by and watch. Well, Israel says it is defending itself following the October 7 attack by Hamas, which saw 1,200 people killed and more than 200 taken hostage. Well, South Africa, along with Bangladesh, Bolivia, Comoros, and Djibouti, submitted a referral to the ICC to investigate whether war crimes and crimes against humanity have been committed in Gaza. South Africa also announced the withdrawal of its diplomats from Israel and suggested that the position of Israel's ambassador to Pretoria was becoming untenable. Meanwhile, weather authorities in South Africa are warning of a heat wave with high temperatures in at least 5 parts of the country this week. According to the Weather Service, heat wave conditions are expected in parts of the Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Gauteng, and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. Well, this weather alert comes a week after part of Gauteng province was struck by hailstorms. Authorities are, however, urging people to drink lots of water, take precautions by avoiding exposure to the sun, among other measures. Well, still in South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa says the challenges facing small businesses are exacerbated by the monopolies that control access to markets and create barriers for entrepreneurs. Mr. Ramaphosa was speaking at the second National Presidential SMEs and Cooperatives Awards in Johannesburg. The awards ceremony, hosted by the Department of Small Business Development, serves as a platform to recognize and celebrate the achievements of entrepreneurs who play a crucial role in contributing to the country's economic growth. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Samosa, brings us more on this story.
This annual ceremony serves as a platform to acknowledge, encourage and celebrate excellence among small, medium and micro enterprises and cooperatives. The event comes at a time when entrepreneurs are facing many challenges such as policy implementation, access to funding and regulatory burden, to name a few. President Cyril Ramaphosa acknowledged that these challenges are exacerbated by the monopolies that control access to markets and create barriers for entrepreneurs.
One of the big challenges with our economy, as observed by the World Bank, as observed by the IMF, is that there's too much concentration in our economy. There's too much centralized ownership.
Department of Small Business Development Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams says the department has exceeded the target of incubators.
On business development and skills services, we have surpassed our target on establishing incubators, which we are developing in partnership with universities and TVET.
Winners say they are inspired to do more and contribute to better the economy.
I am inspired because I think Africa has so much to offer. If you look at West Africa, we have amazing commodities from cocoa, but I'm more about how do we process all those products here and have proudly owned African products.
Yes, I'm inspired to do more. And for me, this is confirmation that the work that we do is necessary and that we are seen, because in our work, we take financial literacy education to communities. So choosing to do professional work as a certified financial planner within the communities and being called to global stages like this one, it's something that we are very proud of.
So excited. It's so nice when government actually notices us hustlers and gives us encouragement to push on. It's not easy being a hustler, so they call it. So yes, I'm very excited.
Meanwhile, some say the journey was not without challenges.
Running a business as a young person, as a woman, based in a rural community is not easy at all. There were a lot of challenges, including limited resources, living in a rural community.
Your intro is quite on point. I've been in this journey for quite some time now, and predominantly started the journey as a township entrepreneur. I think the challenges there are even more difficult, and I think migrating and growing in that space and now becoming some sort of an industrialist because of my background.
Well, entrepreneurs in South Africa are increasingly operating in a volatile environment, and the South African government is under pressure to stimulate the economy. Well, as we celebrate winners here, the attendees are telling me that this event serves as an inspiration for many entrepreneurs here in South Africa. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
A global food security summit has opened in the United Kingdom. Representatives from more than 20 countries are attending the summit, which is a joint initiative by Somalia, Britain, the United Arab Emirates, the Children's Investment Fund Foundation, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Speaking at the conference, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced a new virtual hub to link British scientists with global research into climate-resilient crops.
As a country that over the last few years led the development of the world's first and second malaria vaccines, we're also driving scientific advances in food security which benefit millions globally, as well as supporting our brilliant farmers here at home. We've already helped develop crops that are drought-resistant and even richer in vitamins, now feeding 100 million people across Africa. And we're going further, launching a new UK CGIAR Science Centre to drive cutting-edge research on flood-tolerant rice, disease-resistant wheat, and much more. These innovations will reach millions across the poorest countries, as well as improving UK crop yields and driving down food prices.
The independent expert on the situation of human rights in Somalia, Isha Defan, is in Somalia for a 2-week visit. She landed at the international airport in Mogadishu, where she was received by government officials in the country. Ms. Defan says she's concerned about the human rights violation in the country, as well as the ongoing joint military offensive by local militia and the Somali army.
It is important to recall the cross-cutting nature of human rights. The struggle against armed groups, peace, security and development, humanitarian action, climate change and the environment cannot be addressed in isolation from human rights. The exchanges focused on legislative, policy and programmatic developments, progress, challenges, remaining gaps and priorities for the future, based on the key benchmarks I highlighted in my previous reports submitted to the United Nations Human Rights Council. In addition, I held meetings with civil society representatives, including journalists, internally displaced persons, vulnerable and marginalized groups, minorities, migrants and persons with disabilities, to exchange views on human rights issues of concern and to provide ideas on the way forward. I remain concerned about the impact the ongoing joint military offensive by the Somali National Army, local clan militias known as Community Defense Forces, and the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia has on the civilian population and infrastructure. The U.S. AFRICOM Command continues to carry out targeted airstrikes at the government's request and in support of the Somali National Army against Al-Shabaab. I urge all parties to uphold their responsibilities under human rights and international humanitarian law and ensure the protection of civilians.
In Sudan, the United Nations Human Rights Office is expressing concerns over ethnic killings in West Darfur region. Hundreds of civilians have been killed in the attack by the Rapid Support Forces and its allied militias early this month.
We are extremely alarmed by reports that Rapid Support Forces and their allied Arab militia killed hundreds of ethnic Masalit civilians in Adamata town earlier this month, in yet another ethnically motivated mass attack on non-Arab Masalit civilians in West Darfur in just the past few months. Preliminary information we have obtained from survivors and witnesses suggests Masalit civilians suffered 6 days of terror at the hands of the RSF and its allied militia after they took control of the Sudanese Army's base in Adamata on the 4th of November. Some of the victims were summarily executed or burnt alive. Many of those killed were young Masalit men and relatives of Sudanese soldiers remaining in Adamata after the troops had fled the town. Women and girls were reportedly subjected to sexual violence in the Adamata IDP camp and in some homes. Thousands have been displaced, some crossing the border to Chad. On the 5th of November alone, 66 Masalit men were summarily executed in 3 separate incidents. In Al-Kabri district, men were separated from women and killed. Hundreds more men were arrested and taken to various RSF-run detention camps. Their fate and whereabouts remain unknown.
And as part of peacekeeping operations, 850 peacekeepers from Nepal, including 78 women, 7 for peace in South Sudan, have been awarded the United Nations Medal. The award was given for their professionalism and commitment at a time when South Sudan is racing to complete its delayed democratic transition.
Today, in 6 decades, you are the second largest contributor of uniformed police and military manpower to United Nations peacekeeping in the world. My congratulations to you for this stupendous contribution.
I had a very good experience because I got the chance to come here and work under the flag of United Nations for the honor and the prosperity for the people of the South Sudan. It was a very good experience because I got to know about the South Sudanese culture, the whole country, the tradition and all. And also, I also got to work with various like counterparts from military, from civilian and from police.
It's my great opportunity to work and to serve as a peacekeeper under the United Nations flag, and I'm very much grateful to my institution and United Nations and the people of South Sudan.
And that's where we end Network Africa for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.